I met her in September, I believe. It was right after 9/11. And a friend of mine who was playing music with me had invited several of his friends from school, and she came one night, and we were already started when she came, and I remember it specifically because I usually play and sing with my eyes closed, and I opened my eyes noticing that someone had come in, and while we were playing, you had to come in the door right in front of where the band was playing, and I opened my eyes, and the first thought that I had was I could marry her. And then I realized I was singing worship and I needed to focus on what I was doing. I received the news from the doctor before she came out of the anesthesia. And I think had we both heard it at the same time, it would have been more difficult. I was able to, regain my composure and be able to talk to her and hold her when I was telling her. I said, but if worst case scenario, you will be in the arms of Jesus. And I said, worst case scenario, God will take care of me and the kids. And I said, we'll start from there, and I said, and we'll fight. A number of people came to the hospital because she spent quite a bit of time the last few months in the hospital, and would come in and we'd be having fun. We'd just be sitting there talking, enjoying what was going on, and she'd be smiling, she'd be making jokes, and people expected, because you could tell things were getting worse, expected us to be down. And had a conversation with a friend, and I said I don't know. I said, I don't know how much longer she has, and this was probably within 2 weeks of her passing. And I said, but I know that I'm not going to spend the last time that I do have with her being depressed. It's not a matter of the terms that we use on a regular basis. Oh, I got to have God, the Christian terms that we all use, and we, as a group, a lot of our friends, we make fun of all the Christian saints because we grew up around them. And, all the cliche things. But you do find out that it's not a matter of, I know that I really have to have God. It's a matter of, I'm not emotionally stable enough to get up and take a shower, walk out the door, and go to the store unless I have God, and then the mentality that I have has always been, there is no quit, there is no give up. I don't have that option, especially with the kids. I've looked at it and I've said, look, I don't get the option to shut down and look and say, it's too hard. When I hit a day, and they still happen, and sometimes in certain ways it actually becomes more difficult as time goes on, because you feel like you're leaving that person behind. The farther you get away from the event of losing them, you feel like, well, I got to hold on to those memories, and so it feels more desperate in some ways. But the emotions of it, when they hit, and they come in waves where you might be having a perfectly fine day, nothing really changed in your life, so to speak, but then it'll hit you and you realize how much you love them, how much you miss not having them there. And the way I've approached it is, let it happen. Don't try to avoid it. Don't try to avoid circumstances that might force me to break down. And I don't know when they're going to happen. And sometimes they'll happen while I'm working. Thankfully, not debilitatingly, but it definitely have to stop but not avoiding it. I think that's the biggest thing that makes me be able to get through it, is because I realize it's pain, but the pain is also representative of how much love we had. Because if there wasn't so much love involved, then the pain would be less. And so I look at it like, I got 10 years of marriage with her, and yeah, it hurts, and it hurts like nothing I've ever experienced, but I'm not going to allow that to shut me down by just avoiding things. And I don't want to avoid whether it's memories of doing things with the kids, or whether it's pictures that come up on my computer of all the different things that we did over the years. or cooking dinner for the kids, and I find something in the freezer that she purchased and put there. You know, you never know when those emotions are going to hit, and instead of fighting those, it turns it in. You go through them instead of trying to stop the tide from coming in, which you can't do. You let it come in, and you find out that the wave washes over you and it washes back out, and you're okay for it. As far as the value of who she is, because she still is, life doesn't end. I don't fully understand even what the Bible teaches on that, but as far as her life here, it will continue to shape me and continue to shape the kids, because I know what her intentions were and what we worked towards. And so those type of things are going to constantly shape who they are. And she actually said this to me: I know that someone else can take care of my kids, but I want to.
If I give my life to the battle line, will tomorrow be followed by the peace of a finished fight? There's so little time to leave behind a song, a memory worth retelling, or a name to carry on. Too often sorrow finds a way to make us dream of better days, where war's less fought and battles few. So you raise the white flag and defeat you choose. Better days will come, better days than these. Fight on, soldier, fight.